Today's episode, I want to get into how to be the best second photographer possible. This list is not in any particular order. Any of these things could be the most crucial thing. So I'm just going to start with the first one. And the first one is understand your role. When you're shooting a wedding, obviously there's a lead, there's a second photographer, and then there's an assistant. Usually with us, we have a 3-person team. I know some photography teams only do 2, lead and second. The main thing is understand what your role is as a second photographer. One thing that I tell our photographers is when I'm shooting lead, or let's say Jeff or Andrew or someone else is shooting lead, the second photographer's responsibility are candids, moments, groups, details, things that I can't really be present on if I'm doing family photos separately, if I'm doing bride and groom photos here, if I'm doing wedding party on the other side. If I can't be at 2 places at once, I need you to compliment me so that way we can give them an experience that is complete. I'm gonna give you guys an example. Yesterday, I photographed a maternity session. One thing that she told me that I absolutely was elated by is that she said they still haven't gone through all the photos, but the photos that they went through, she says there are a ton of things that she didn't even notice happened during the wedding that our second photographer captured. Nothing made me prouder. It wasn't even a compliment directly to me. It was a compliment to my photographer, and that made me happier than if she would have said, I love the bride and groom photos. I'd rather get the compliment for what they did because it makes me confident and happy with what our team is doing. The main thing, understanding your role, understanding what you're there for and what you're there to capture. And going along with understanding your role, I'm gonna say a little aside. If you're a second photographer, understand that the lead photographer is gonna take precedence as far as what the lighting is gonna be, the background is gonna be, where you're gonna be shooting, the pose, all that. There are certain situations where I'll tell my second photographer, hey, go ahead and try a shot over here. I think you can do something cool here. Or if they mentioned it when we got there earlier at the venue and they said, oh, there's a cool shot that I wanna try there, then I'll open the door for them as a lead photographer and say, go ahead and try it. What you don't wanna be is be that dickhead, and as soon as the lead photographer finishes their shot, hey, I wanna try something. It's like, dude, like you can try it, but let's discuss this. Let's have etiquette. So as a second photographer, understand that there is a hierarchy and it's not an ego thing. It's so the couple doesn't get confused. So they know, okay, who's the lead photographer? Who's the person that I'm supposed to be listening to? If there's ever any confusion like that, you've strayed from the path. So make sure that there is that respect. As a second photographer, I don't shoot second like ever at this point, but when I do it for 2 reasons. One, so I can see, okay, is there a better way of doing things than what we are currently doing? So I look at it almost like a case study. And then 2, I also feel like it reminds me how fun and creative it is. But when I'm second shooting, I'm looking at the lead photographer and I'm going, what do you need? You tell me what you need and I will make sure. You need me to move this table? We're gonna move this table. You need me to move this? Whatever you need. You want me to get the bride's flowers? That's what your role is as a second. I mean, that could be as a lead too. If I tell the second, go and take care of them for a couple of minutes, do some cool shots, I'll go and grab something else. That's how it should be. But as a second, even more so, it's how can I be of service? You do that, I promise you, whoever you're second shooting for will be calling you constantly, because we have a ton of people on our team that are like that, and I love working with them. All of you guys that are watching, I know my team watches these videos, some of you. The other ones, snitch on them, guys. Tell me who's not watching. And that kind of coincides with number 2, which is communication. Communication is key as a second photographer with your lead photographer. So maybe the week before, get on the phone or shoot them a text. Are there any additional details that I should know about besides what's on the timeline? Is there anything at the wedding party when you're not gonna be there, or any additional details that you want me to capture? Let me know so I can give you the best photos possible. So communication is key. Understanding what your expectations are from your lead photographer is gonna help you tremendously. I'm gonna talk to lead photographers for a second. One thing that we have on our team is second shooting guidelines. I made a 3-page document. Anytime that somebody's gonna second shoot for us, I split it up into 3 different pages for good reason. One of them is getting ready. Second one is ceremony. Last one is reception. So if they're shooting the wedding, they can reference that shooting guideline. They should have looked at it before, obviously going out and shooting, but they can reference that guideline as they're shooting to see that they're getting all the shots that they need. So communication is key on both sides. As a lead photographer, to let your second know what is required of them, and as a second photographer, make sure you ask, because if they don't have a shooter guideline, you need to know what your role is. So then when you're done, you're not going, wait, you didn't tell me to do that. That's what clear communication is for. And it should fall on the leader, to be quite honest. I always believe that. Anytime I see any inconsistencies in any organization, I always look at the top, because that's who's giving the orders. Know your gear inside and out. This should go without saying. I mean, you should be practicing with your equipment when you're not working. Because when you're working, you're gonna turn on the flash and you're gonna go, wait, why does it say RX? What the hell? Why is it flashing and why is it not on the right channel? Don't do that. Know your equipment inside and out. I can change the channel on this. I can shut off the beeping on this. I can take the head off. I know exactly how to do that. Obviously, replace the batteries. You should know inside and out all your equipment. Familiarize yourself before you go out and second shoot with somebody, because the last thing you wanna do is show up and you go, well, how do you do this? I mean, I'm not gonna get upset by it. If somebody comes up to me, hey Omar, I switched this thing, I don't know how to switch it back, but come here, all right? And we'll figure it out. But try to be as efficient and proficient with your equipment as possible. And having backup gear. Even though I don't necessarily require a backup camera for a second shooter, because worst case scenario, the lead will always have a backup camera. Having backup gear, having an extra flash. I posted a video recently on the TT685 and how amazing that flash is for $120. So if you want to watch that, have yourself an extra flash. If you're shooting, I would absolutely have a backup camera. If you can't afford a full frame, big camera, go and get like a A6600, a used one or something. Anything is better than having nothing if something goes down. Next point is be observant and anticipate moments. Joseph, this is for you. You are fucking amazing at this. I love how you're paying attention to things that even I'm not paying attention to sometimes. And I think that almost takes, it almost takes like an emotional understanding and an emotional awareness to see things in a certain way. Even this last weekend, you guys are seeing a photo right now where dad was waiting for his daughter to walk down the stairs so they can walk down the aisle at the ceremony. And just that little moment, it's just those key little things, being in tune with what's going on, not just thinking this is just a paycheck or thinking this is just a photo shoot. This is capturing emotions. This is capturing moments. So if you're thinking about that and you're focused on that, I promise you, as a lead photographer, I look for those things. Obviously, look at that. Joseph popped up immediately. Now, everybody on our team is very aware of what's going on around them, but there's something about Joseph. I love that you're always paying attention to those things. So be a Joseph. You want to be a great second photographer? Be like Joseph. Pay attention to what's going on. Be attentive and anticipate what's coming next so you can always be ready to capture those moments. Going off of that, stay unobtrusive, meaning during the ceremony, you don't have to be running around all over the place. The lead, generally, the way that we do it is as a lead, the lead stays in the middle of the aisle. The second photographer gets on the side where the bride is pointing towards, and the third assistant is always on the other side where the groom is pointing towards. By doing that, we don't have to have our photographers moving around back and forth, and we're capturing every angle that we need to. So being unobtrusive in situations like that is priceless. Being able to capture moments where mom or dad or grandma or somebody's shedding a tear and you're not making any noise because you're just being stealthy. Those things are amazing. As a second photographer, capturing candids and moments, that's huge. When I put on our packages what the second photographer does, that's exactly what I put. They're the photojournalist for the day where they're capturing candids, emotions, moments. Being unobtrusive is gonna be able to give you that authentic emotion. And on a technical side, using a longer lens will also help with that. Because if you're right in my face, I'm gonna be camera aware, right? But if I'm 100 feet away and I'm photographing candids that are happening, they're not paying attention. Not only that, if you're shooting outdoors and you're shooting with the Sony system, for example, and you're on a mirrorless camera, you can put it into silent mode. And now when you click, no one's gonna hear anything. I do it all the time. That's why I picked up the A9 over the A7, because I wanted to be able to use that silent shutter in more situations than just outdoors. So with the A9, I can shoot indoors in silent mode almost all the time and get no banding, and that helps to capture those moments. So I would say the rule of thumb, it would be use silent mode outside, mechanical shutter indoors. Obviously, if you're outside and there's string lights, be careful because those lights will still pollute the overall lighting and that will give you some banding sometimes. Be careful with that, but generally speaking, as a rule of thumb, you're gonna be silent shooting outside, mechanical indoors, or mechanical when you're shooting with a flash as well. I don't wanna get too technical. Let's move on. Another point to be a great second photographer is assist with logistics. So if families are happening, for example, yes, have your camera with you, get some candids and stuff like that. The assistant will probably be helping with like spreading the dress and making sure the lights are in the right place and all that. But if you can help out during those key moments, it really will elevate how the lead photographer looks at you. If I know that we're stressed out because we have a ton of families that we're doing, my assistant is fixing this light, my second is fixing this light, then the assistant goes and they're spreading the dress in the front, and then he's looking through the list or she's looking through the list about what photos we're gonna need, because as a lead, you should always send that over for the family list. Do you know how much that helps? Do you know how valuable you will become because you're there and your brain is on and you're helping out? Okay, the Jones family, step step right up. My God, I love that. When our assistants or second shooters do that, it makes our life so much easier because we can just rifle through the list and then keep going. So assist with logistics, guys. I promise you, it's gonna help so much more than you think. Here's a little extra one. There's a few more, but here's a little extra one. Professionalism and etiquette. So if you're showing up as a second wedding photographer, if you show up in a t-shirt, I'm sending you home. Except John Chris. John Chris looks fly, all right? He does the white sneakers, the suit, and then the white shirt with a jacket. It looks right. If you show up like that, I'm cool with it. But we've seen situations where a photographer will show up and it's just, listen, I'm not saying go out there and buy a Gucci belt to go out and shoot. Don't be an idiot. But you can go and get something that fits nicely, which makes you look like you're part of the wedding. The last thing that you want to do is be in a photo in the background and look all bummy, and we know that that's one of our guys. That would be infuriating to me if we knew because they look bummy, they're with us. Absolutely not. Part of etiquette is showing up looking the part. You're at somebody's wedding. The least you can do is show up looking neat. And that again goes back to the lead photographer. In our second photographer and our assistant guideline, right at the top, it shows you exactly what you should be wearing, or at least to some degree, because I'm not gonna take a chance and then you show up in a ripped t-shirt and ripped jeans or shorts and I go, wait, I didn't tell him, or I didn't tell her to dress the part. You can't expect people to know that, but if you guys are watching this video and you've made it this far, take that into account. As a second photographer, show up looking right. And as far as professionalism goes, there's no drinking on our team. T&K Photo, we know we're not allowed to have a drink during a wedding. What you do in the privacy of your own home, when you get home, I don't give a damn. Do whatever you want. But when you're working, there's no drinking. And the reason for that, let's say we're having a great time. The groom, the bride, they've had a few drinks. They're, having a good old time. And then they have a shot with you and you guys are drinking. There's a photo of that. And then you realize that you didn't get a certain table group during the reception that you were supposed to. They can always go back to that moment where you were getting drunk with them, and because of that, you missed that shot. I'm not gonna take that chance. So as a second photographer, guys, even if when I'm second shooting, I'm like, no, I'm good. I'll have a drink when I get home on my own with my dogs. I don't need to take any sort of chances. And then another one, we got two more. Continuously learn and improve. This should go without saying. I posted another video on how to be a great photographer, not just second photographer, and I really went into it on that one. I got very excited. Continuously learning and improving is always gonna help you, not just for the company that you're shooting with or the friend that you're shooting with, but just for yourself. Always be on the lookout. What can I try? What can I do? Here's one thing that I used to do. I would find a cool photo that I liked and I would save one or two. You don't have to get 10 bangers at a shoot, guys. If you get one cool shot that you haven't done before, that's one that you've never done before that you can add to your portfolio. Don't get carried away trying to think I have to do 25 images today that are incredible. No, I need that one banger as a second photographer. There's a little less pressure. Continuously learn, improve. If you saw something online, you saw something on Instagram, wherever, like some cool lighting that you wanted to try, experiment with it earlier in the week, and then try it at the wedding. Go up to the lead photographer in the beginning of the day and say, hey, listen, I saw this really cool shot. Check it out. I have it on the phone. Do you mind if I try this afterwards? You would have to be some kind of dickhead to go, absolutely not. If I'm in that position as a lead photographer, I go, yes, absolutely. And I love that you took the initiative to find the photo, to show me the photo, to test it out. Absolutely. In the middle of shooting, I'll probably go to the couple, hey guys, you know what? Jeff wanted to try a shot. Jeff, take the lead. Go and try it. Do you need me to move the light? That's how that works. As a team, you grow each other. So always continue to hone your skills and you're gonna go very far. And then the last thing is, as a second photographer, is build relationship. That's what second shooting, that's what any sort of job really is. If I'm a second shooter, and this happened actually, I'm gonna give you guys a great story. Eric, who we've shot with a bunch of times, he's a videographer. And a very talented videographer on top of that, guys. So follow him if you're not following him already. I'm gonna link his bio below. And this was maybe 2016, 2015, I think, something like that. There was a studio that asked me to second shoot that day, and I met Eric there. I can't tell you what the couple's name was. I can't tell you what the name of the venue was. The only thing I remember about that day is who the lead photographer was and meeting Eric, because we built a relationship from there where we do creative shoots together pretty regularly. We're gonna start doing even more now that we're both on this YouTube trip together, and he's referred work our way. He's taught me things about shooting video I've taught him things about off-camera lighting. Building relationships is huge when it comes to being a lead or a second photographer. But as a second photographer, you have a little bit more time, I feel like, because, you know, after I was done with the details, I was done with groups, we talked for a little bit. We talked for like 10 minutes and, you know, collectively, we exchanged information. And then, like I said, networking, that's what you should be doing as a lead, as a second, but definitely as a second, it definitely helps, because even with us, sometimes one of our assistants, maybe for that day, they haven't met one of our other photographers. They meet that day, and then this photographer, the second photographer, now needs a second photographer because they're gonna do a shoot. They'll call one of our other photographers, and now they're working together. There's this saying out there, if you want to go fast, go alone. If you want to go far, go together. And I genuinely believe that. You're gonna get much further with a community, with a team, than you will by yourself. Guaranteed. Anyway, guys, that does it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you made it to the end, if you guys would like to subscribe, I would truly appreciate that, as I'm trying to grow this channel as much as I can this year, and in the future, I don't plan on stopping. So if you guys would like to subscribe, that would be awesome. Leave a comment below. What resonated with you guys the most? What topics would you like to see in the future? I'm always happy to film from the ideas that you guys give me. Thank you so much for watching.